All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. I'm Miss Erica, the Teacher Lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Thank you so much for joining me on this segment of the Teacher Lady Speaks. Here we use my experience teaching tiny humans to help enhance your experience raising them, okay? Now, this is done through honest insight, resources, and just reflection from a well-seasoned educator. Hey, that's me, that understands just how hard love work can be. Love work is social work, it's teaching, it's parenting, it is all of the things, and I do get it. Now, this week's theme is all about celebrating diverse holidays. We want our children to understand that not everybody celebrates Christmas or even New Year's. We want them to understand that some people don't celebrate at all, and that is okay. When it comes to the holidays, we want to be sure to enjoy our family and our traditions while also holding space and respecting other people's. And so this is going to be a crash course to help you to be able to do just that. Now, we started this week off strong with 2 read-alouds. We had Soulful Holidays by Sierra Hill, as well as The Ugly Menorah by Marissa Moss. Both of these books were excellent for our topic this week because they really did show the importance and the value of family and even the difference in celebration. Defining this topic for a young child. So what I would say is, like, we celebrate Christmas. And when we celebrate Christmas, we put up a Christmas tree and lights and we do candy canes and we believe in Santa and all of these cool things. But what if I would tell you that our neighbor across the street does not celebrate Christmas? Or what if I would tell you that around this time in December, people celebrate different things that have nothing to do with Christmas, or even some people don't celebrate at all? If I'm trying to get my child to understand that holidays are not specific to Christmas time, I would just include other people. I would start by how we celebrate that holiday, what December looks like for us, and of course, I would bring in what it looks like for others, because by doing so, you normalize the fact that we do not all wake up on Christmas Day to presents underneath the tree. Now, on the other side of that, I would discuss the fact that some people do celebrate Christmas, but do not have as much money or spend as much money on that holiday. So maybe you are visiting someone's house and their Christmas tree is smaller, or maybe you go back to school and you ask your friend, hey, what toys do you have? Or what toys did you get? And they didn't get any. It is important that you teach your child to be sensitive around people who even celebrate the same holiday, because maybe their overall experience is different. So just because we both celebrate Christmas doesn't mean we celebrate it in the same way. And just because we both celebrate the same holiday does not mean that we're going to receive the same level of gifts, okay? And then on the flip side of that, some people don't celebrate at all because they're not interested, because they don't like it. And then on the flip side of that, some people have a completely different cultural aspect when it comes to holidays. So there is so much to unpack, but if I had to summarize it, you will want your child to understand that the world does not evolve around them, even when it comes to the holiday season. Let's keep going. All right. What schools are required to teach? So every single week we compare the state of Texas to the state of California to figure out what your child might be learning on that topic in the classroom. Okay. So in the state of California, when it comes to holidays and traditions, California embeds cultural celebrations and traditions throughout its history, social science standards, and ethnic studies framework. These standards include citizenship and and community. So students learn how communities celebrate differently and how traditions connect families. Symbols, icons, and traditions. Students explore traditions of the United States and how different cultures contribute to these traditions, as well as diverse customs and celebrations. So students explicitly differentiate among diverse customs, traditions, and celebration, and this directly covers holidays around the world. In the Ethnic Studies Models curriculum, which is also underneath California state standards, it encourages the study of cultural traditions, heritage practices, and community celebrations across racial and ethnic groups. Lastly, in Education Code 37220, it is required that the following holidays be recognized around cultural identity and celebration, and this includes MLK Day, Native American Day, as well as Cesar Chavez Day, which shapes conversations about cultural significance, civic pride, and remembrance. So in California, students are expected to learn that celebrations express identity, history, and belonging, and that we do not all celebrate the same way, okay? So I would say that California hit it on the head, but as you know, just because it is a requirement does not mean it's actually being taught. And even if it is actually being taught, it does not mean that your child is learning it. So if it is important to you, you will need to take lead in making sure that they have the information. Let's move on to the state of Texas. So for curriculum in Texas, global and cultural celebrations in its social studies text. Key standards. Grade 1. Students must describe the origins of custom holidays and celebrations. In grade 2, students explain the significance of community, state, and national celebrations. And in grade 3, students identify and compare customs and traditions of various cultural groups in the local community and other communities. Under the Texas Administrative Code, Title 19, Chapter 120, there is emphasis on respect, cultural awareness, and empathy, and these are all values necessary for teaching diverse holidays. So Texas does require students to understand that we all hold different cultural identities, and that includes holidays. Overall, I would say we have a special week because both states do have standards and curriculum requirements that encourage students to learn about different religions, different cultural holidays, as well as traditions. But as always, I put that caveat in that we don't know if your child is actually picking up that information unless they've made that clear to you. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. Let's keep growing. Here are some resources to help introduce your child to various traditions and holidays. First up is the Smithsonian Learning Lab World Cultures Collection. So this interactive digital museum experience lets children explore artifacts, videos, and stories from holidays around the world. Kids can click through exhibits on Diwali, Hanukkah, Day of the Dead, Ramadan, and more, making global cultures feel close and relatable. So this is definitely an online resource that is valuable to just have your child self-explore and get to know different communities around them, especially around that holiday season, okay? Let's keep growing. National Geographic for Kids Holiday Explorer is a vibrant, kid-friendly, interactive site where children can learn how different countries celebrate everything from Lunar New Year to Carnival. So this is going to have maps, quizzes, and photos, and it encourages curiosity and cultural pride. So I really do love this resource. I feel like it helps children to understand not only what we celebrate in our country, but also worldwide, where some of these customs come from. The next resource I want to bring your attention to, you have heard a few times, and that is Teaching for Change. They actually have a holiday equity toolkit. And so this toolkit provides interactive activities, role play scenarios, and discussion questions that help children examine fairness and inclusion during holiday season. It teaches them how celebrations reflect culture, identity, and community values. No further explanation needed. The next resource I'm going to bring your attention to is Global Religious and Cultural Awareness Calendar, ADL. And this is a clickable interactive calendar that highlights major global holidays, helping children look ahead, learn significance, and understand the importance of honoring classmates' celebration. So this is great for a home project or even classroom planning. And the last resource I'm going to bring your attention to, and before I do, if you want more, to be sure to subscribe to my newsletter on my website. But for now, check out Crayola Creativity Hub multicultural art projects. So these hands-on craft-based lessons help children to create things like lanterns or menorahs. They have interactive video and how-to guides for children, and they have a step-by-step guide for children. This is going to help deepen understanding through creativity and play. So be sure to check out that Creativity Hub. Now, as you are creating these different kind of cultural artifacts, be mindful, okay, to also add in education. So you should be learning about that culture or that religion as you're doing these projects, and have your child understand that these actually are not ours. We are learning about what belongs to another community or culture. That's how you stop cultural appropriation. Let's keep growing. Best practices at home. The first best practice I would say is to just raise your child with the understanding that we all have a different way of celebrating. We all celebrate birthdays differently. We all acknowledge winter holidays differently. We all come from different backgrounds. This lesson truly is a branch from the things that I've been teaching, which is see the community that is around you and respect that community. So one best practice is to just acknowledge that, like, we're putting up a Christmas tree next week, but I'm curious on what your other friends are doing, which brings me to my next best practice. If you have a holiday celebration that is not Christmas or typical, or that other students in that classroom might not know about, I encourage you to ask the teacher permission to share about Diwali, go share about Hanukkah, go share about Kwanzaa, because what this does is it normalizes your family's traditions and cultures and holidays within that classroom setting. Lots of people in this country celebrate Christmas. We're familiar with it. But what about all the holidays that we're not familiar with? If you have the ability, I would ask that teacher to be able to come in and, well, to share. And the next best practice, I would say, is really specific to both educators and parents, in the sense that we do things at the school like Halloween parade or white elephant Christmas exchange. And the reality is you have multiple cultures in your classroom, and not everyone participates in that, okay? So as an educator, be mindful of the different cultures that are in your classroom. And what I encourage educators to do is to send home a letter. We're going to be doing a white elephant gift exchange. Is this something that your family participates in? Does your family do Christmas? If not, do you do anything during the holiday season? Is there anything I should know? I feel like it's just a matter of getting to know the people around you. And the same thing in your home life. If you're doing some sort of Christmas celebration or Christmas lighting, or, Christmas tree lighting, and there are friends in your child's classroom, and you're unsure of whether or not they celebrate Christmas or whether or not that would be appropriate to invite them, just ask. Another best practice is to not assume. Get to know the people around you by having conversations, and understand that the way in which we celebrate and acknowledge things is not necessarily the same way as somebody else, and it is okay. When to seek help. If your child is truly struggling with showing up as themselves in terms of their beliefs because they don't acknowledge Christmas and they don't want to talk about what they do celebrate in a way that is embarrassment, it might be time to check in with a guidance counselor or even the school principal to learn how you can normalize what it is that they celebrate within that school. Because sometimes they are the first one to go to that school that believes in that bad thing. The last school I worked at, I recognized that on Halloween Day, we had a significant number of absences, like consistent, like every year. On Halloween, a bunch of people didn't come to school. And I realized relatively quickly that it is because they don't participate in Halloween. And at our school, we do a huge Halloween parade and we give away candy and we kind of, it's a whole thing. And so what we started to do was create a space for the children who do not celebrate or acknowledge Halloween so that they can still come to school. You don't need to miss out on academics, but you don't feel forced into being part of something that is going to make your family upset or that is going to make you uncomfortable. Now, I could not make that provision for those students if I did not know my students. Just like you as the parents can't make provisions for your child's friends if you don't know your child's friends. A huge best practice is to truly just get to know the people around you and be willing to accommodate, well, the things that they need. Common questions. What if my child is the only one in the school that does not celebrate Christmas? I did touch on this earlier, but for one, let them know that it's okay. It is okay. I understand what it feels like to be the only one. I've been the only Black girl. I've been the only Black person. I've been the only large person. The list continues of onlys for me in spaces. And so I get what it feels like to feel like you are on the outs. And the first thing that I would tell you is to reaffirm and to reiterate that your child and what your family believes is special. And it's so special that not everyone else believes the same thing, and that is okay. Now, what I would try to do is figure out, if you're comfortable, how that school can add knowledge and education around what your cultural beliefs are. So instead of it just being looked at in this negative way or this strange way or this weird way, you can start to normalize what it is your family believes and celebrates within your child's school setting, which is super valuable and important. Lastly, on the times that they are feeling the most shame or embarrassment or just overall frustration because they are the only one, when they leave the school, make sure they're in an after-school program with people who represent their community. Make sure on the weekends they're going to things so that they're constantly reminded of how beautiful their culture is, and so that they're reminded that they're not the only one. It just happens to be within the school setting. The next question is it appropriate to talk about religion with other people's children? And my answer would be not without the consent of that child's parents. The God in which you believe in might not be the same God that your child's friend believes in or your neighbors believe in. And so often we want to do God's work and we want to do good work, and we think that that means kind of pushing that message to people who did not ask for it. But I would actually say asking for permission to speak freely around your religious beliefs is going to create a way more comfortable atmosphere to be able to hold those conversations. And so I never recommend you just deciding to talk about your religious beliefs, especially when it comes to people's children and what it is that they believe in, without first discussing that with their parents. And the last question, how do I make sure that no one feels left out during the Christmas holiday? Again, this question gives the perspective that what you're doing and what you're celebrating is so great that if other people do not have it, they're going to feel bad and they're going to feel left out. When you decenter yourself, you'll realize that it is okay for people to do without a Christmas tree because they don't believe in Christmas. It truly is that simple. If you've made cookies, it's probably not a big deal for your child's friend to come over and have cookies. I don't think that we need to overthink these things in a way of, do I not do anything? Or what if, other people feel left out or feel bad? I think that you just have to decenter yourself when it comes to other people and understand that your family does gift exchanges and Christmas cookies and all of these things, and their family does not. And so it's not a matter of them feeling left out, because why would you feel left out of something you don't believe in? It is a matter of getting to know that individual family and figuring out how do you show up for them, or even if there's anything for you to do. Is there a celebration of theirs that you can attend? Get to know, again, the people around you, and a lot of these questions will be automatically answered. And don't be so afraid to ask questions, okay? If you see somebody who is dressed differently and you have a relationship with them, ask them. I don't recommend you walking through the grocery store and making other people uncomfortable as they're trying to shop. But I do recommend, as you see people and you're consistently going to the same parks, and so you're talking to each other and getting to know each other, or your children are consistently going to the same school and you're at the PTA meetings, get to know those families, and you cannot do that without conversation. Trust them to correct you if you are out of line, but don't be so scared to talk that you just don't, and then you operate out of ignorance. Final thoughts. Thank you so much for learning with me this week. I really do hope that you have a beautiful holiday, or lack thereof if it's not your thing. My family does celebrate Christmas, and so we will be doing all of the things relatively soon because I'm running out of time on the decorating. But I do want to thank you for taking this time to make sure that you are raising a child that understands that somebody else's holiday might be different from their own, because it truly is special when you feel seen and when you feel understood by the people around you. So thank you for doing your part to make that happen by watching all of the episodes this week and learning more about different holidays and religions and cultural beliefs. If you did not know, I'm also an author and illustrator. Please check out my books. Those books also encourage something called the Empathy Library, which is a pay-it-forward initiative with the goal to get books to children in need, okay, by way of your generosity. Thank you for learning with me, for growing with me, and for being part of this book-loving community. Until next time, you remember to enjoy the moment, or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.